And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're now going to talk about the current standings, where everything is currently as we go into week 17 in the NFL. So, let's get right into it. So, we'll start off with the AFC. So, right now you got the Dolphins who clinched the playoff spot. So, they're currently 2 games up on the Bills in the AFC East. The Bills, I think, will get in, although they did kind of scare me a little bit with them almost losing to Easton Stick and the Chargers. But they should get in. Now, is it going to come down to that final week of the regular season? Because, if the Dolphins lose here this week against the Ravens, Bills win, yeah, it's going to come down to that final game. But if the Dolphins win against the Ravens, they clinch the division, and that basically ends this conversation. But I think the Dolphins will lose, and then the Bills will beat the Patriots, so that'll set up that Week 18 matchup, which will likely be the late game in Week 18, and that'll decide the division. So, we'll see how it goes. And then you go to the AFC North. The Ravens, I mean, they pretty much, got the division locked up. I mean, I don't think the Browns are going to catch them. I mean, the Ravens have to drop their last 2, which I don't think is happening. I think they'll win against the Dolphins, and then we'll see, what happens after that. Do they rest their starters against the Steelers? Because I don't think... if they beat the Dolphins, then yeah, I think they pretty much, they got the 1 seed locked up. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they do. But yeah, right now they hold a 2-game lead over the Browns. You got the Steelers and the Ravens, or Steelers and the Bengals at 8 and 7. 4 games back, no chance of catching up. But they got the wild card. Now we go to the AFC South, which is just insane right now because you got a 3-way tie between the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Texans. 3 teams that all lost. So I have no idea. And the Jags, I mean, they were 6-2 at one point, and you thought, yeah, this is going to be their division, but not so fast. And who knows what's going to happen with Trevor Lawrence if he's going to play? Because again, he's dealing with another injury. So we'll just have to wait and see. But you got the Jaguars. They're going to be taking on this week the Panthers, the Colts. They're taking on the Raiders, Texans. They're going to be going up against the Titans. So and the Texans are getting Stroud back. So you like their chances in that game against the Titans. The Jaguars, I mean, they really have been struggling. I don't really know what to say about them. It's just been a bad year. It went from good to bad, and they really just were never able to get consistency. That's kind of just been like the thing about this season is lack of consistency. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Now, if you're without Trevor Lawrence this week, if he misses, it's not going to be good. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. But it could come down to the Colts and the Texans for the division the final week of the season. So, then you got the AFC West. The Chiefs, 2-game lead up on the Broncos and the Raiders. Now, if the Chiefs lose their last 2 games and the Raiders win out, the Raiders win the division. Chiefs could maybe find themselves on the outside looking in somehow, which I don't see happening. But I don't know. I mean, they just really don't look right. But I think they should be able to win these last 2 against backup quarterbacks and get in. But, I mean, who knows what happens after that, So then we go over to the NFC. So the Eagles currently hold a 1-game lead over the Cowboys in the NFC East. They're at 11-4. Cowboys at 10-5. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles got the Cardinals and the Giants again. I mean, they should win both of those games, win the division. The Cowboys, they got the Lions and the Commanders. Cowboys are going to be the 5 seed. Eagles are going to be the either the 2 or the 3. But yeah, I mean they should win their final 2 games. And again, if they don't, I mean, listen, the Giants, they almost gave that game away to the Giants, but they're lucky they were playing the Giants, because again, if they were playing a better team, they would have lost. So we go to the NFC North. The Lions obviously clinched the division. You still got the Packers and the Vikings at 7-8 trying to get into the playoffs. The Bears actually still have a chance of making the playoffs too, I believe, at 6-9, but they're not going to get in. But again, the Lions win their first division title, not NFC North title. I said NFC North, but it was because it used to be the NFC Central. So they won their first division title in 30 years. But again, congratulations to the Lions. It's been a long time. And let's see if they can win a playoff game. So then we go to our favorite division, the NFC South. Bucks at 8-7, rolling. And then you got the Falcons and the Saints at 7-8. I mean, the Bucks, all they got to do is win and they're in. So, and the Saints, they have not been good this year. That's another team that just has not been able to find consistency. The defense has not been as good as, in years past. So, I think the Bucks should win. But who knows? The Saints are desperate. It could be a close game. I know the last time these two teams met was way back earlier in the season. Baker Mayfield threw 3 touchdowns. And you thought, maybe the Bucks are going to be decent. And then they went on that big losing streak. And now they're on the come-up again, which is good. And I hope Baker Mayfield and the Bucks get it done. And they're able to host a playoff game. Now, they probably aren't going to win it, but we'll see. We'll see. They got to get in. They got to get in first. So I'm looking ahead. Then we go to the NFC West. Niners, huge loss. Kind of a blowout loss, not really, against the Ravens. Still one of the best teams in the NFL. Not the best team. It's just Ravens. Ravens looked like the better team on Monday, at least. But yeah, they pretty much got they have the division wrapped up. So you really look at the Rams and the Seahawks. They're fighting for the wild card. So let's go over to the wild card. So right now, with the seeding, so in the AFC, you got the Ravens at the 1, Dolphins at the 2, Chiefs at the 3, Jags at the 4, Browns at the 5, Bills at the 6, Colts at the 7. In the NFC, you got the Niners at the 1, the Eagles at the 2, Lions at the 3, Bucks at the 4, Cowboys at the 5, Rams at the 6, Seahawks at the 7. Niners got to win their last 2 games because you got these 2 teams that are tied with them, the Eagles and the Lions. Because I don't see the Eagles losing their last 2. The Lions, I mean, they're playing the Cowboys, so that could be a loss. But yeah, I mean, the Niners, they got the Commanders and they got the Rams on their schedule. So, listen, it's going to be tough for the Rams because, they got the Giants, who I think they should win this week. But then you got the Niners after that. And if the Niners are playing for the 1 seed, that's a place that you haven't really won in quite some time. That's giving you problems. So, I don't know. I mean, are they going to be able to get in? I mean, I think so. Because, they got the tiebreaker over Seattle. I mean, the Vikings, they got their quarterback issues. The Falcons have their quarterback issues. The Saints. I mean, I think the Rams win here against the Giants this week. So I think they should be able to get in, even if they lose to the Niners. But, I mean, this all depends on these final 2 weeks here. But, yeah, and then you got Seattle, of course, at 8-7. I mean, they got the Steelers and the Cardinals to finish off the year. So, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, so in the AFC, you got the Colts at 8-7, the Texans at 8-7, the Steelers at 8-7, Bengals at 8-7, Raiders at 7-8, Broncos at 7-8. I mean, listen, I like the Texans to get in, but they could get in as the division champs instead of the wild card. So maybe if the Jags, if Trevor Lawrence ends up missing this week and they lose to the Panthers and then the week after they lose again, I mean, maybe you see the Colts and the Texans get in and the Jags are the team that's out. But I think it's too little too late for the Broncos. They punted on the season. Raiders, I think it's too little too late. Bengals, I mean, they really hurt their chances by losing to the Steelers. So I don't think they're going to get in. The Steelers, I think, are going to be on the outside looking in, unfortunately for them. Especially losing to the Cardinals and the Patriots in back-to-back weeks at home. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to give up on the Jags, but again, if Trevor Lawrence is out, I mean, I think the Texans and the Colts get in, and the Bills, I think, definitely get in, because right now they're the 6th seed. So, and I think with the win over the Patriots, I mean, they're basically, they're basically in. So, we'll see. But anything can happen. So, I mean, I think the Ravens, they'll end up with the 1 seed. Niners, I think, end up with the 1 seed. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So the Chiefs are basically... Chiefs look like they're going to be the 3 seed, which is weird. Because you just never thought that was going to be... well, I shouldn't say never, but... You're going to see Patrick Mahomes playing in some in a road playoff game, possibly, which is going to be weird, unless they get knocked out by... So they're in line to play the Bills, which, I mean, that is going to be so tough if they have to play against the Bills in the first round. So the Dolphins will play the Colts, the Chiefs will play the Bills, and then you got the Jags. Right now, they'd be playing the Browns. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then in the NFC, the Eagles will be playing the Seahawks, the Lions will be playing the Rams, and then you got the Bucs playing the Cowboys. I really hope we get Rams-Lions. That would be unbelievable if we can get that matchup. But we're not quite there yet. So hopefully the Rams, they can win this week, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I know I just don't want to see Nick Mullins and Taylor Heineke starting in playoff games. I mean, I was kind of hoping the Packers were going to get in, but then they lost to the Giants, and they lost to the Bucs at home. I mean, they got the Vikings and the Bears. I mean, both games are going to be tough just because their defense has been so bad. The offense really hasn't been the problem. It's their defense. So, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, it's going to be a crazy final 2 weeks of the regular season. So, buckle up, because it's going to be insane. And then we get to the playoffs, and then it's really anybody's game at that point. So, let me know what you guys think about the playoff picture, though, the current standings. Who do you think is going to get in the wild card for both of these conferences? Because, again, it's not really clear as to who it's going to be. Anything can happen these final 2 weeks. So when we get back from our final break of the show, we're going to preview the beginning of Week 17, which is a game between the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, with the Browns, if they win, they're in, which I think most likely will happen tonight, but we'll get into the reasons why. Again, you got to respect the Jets' defense, but I kind of think the Browns got this one, but we'll see. But that is what we will do. That is what we will discuss when we get back from our final break of the show. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.